Okay, minasan, today we are gonna talk about Ohsama Sentai King-Ohger episode 22 before watching Ohsama Sentai King-Ohger episode 22. Without further ado, we are gonna start with the trailer. Let's go. Okay. Giant Daigougu. Nature. Interesting. What is that? There seems to be kind of like a drill looking monster, like there's gonna appear in the next episode. But with that being said, I just want to say I am wrong. Okay, I am absolutely wrong, because at first we're gonna jump straight into the trailer scene by scene, because the first scene I am already wrong. Like I actually mentioned this in my last previous episode breakdown. I actually talk about how like Daigo is actually holding kind of like an orange fruit, something like that, and that is gonna be the secret of like how Bugnarak actually become huge size and whatsoever. But now that we have the opportunity to look at the trailer scene by scene, I have to say this is not any fruits at all. This is the soul of the shoe god itself, and which there are 4 shoe gods here that is on his hand. So a few possibility here that I can think of is obviously the 3 greater guardian deity, like the Bata, the Sasori, and also the what was the last one? We got Scopi, we got Kabutan, and then we got the Bata. Okay, these 3 souls are there, but what about number 4? Like which one? What could actually be the soul of the number 4? And I believe it is gonna be God the Tarantula. Okay, it is gonna be God the Tarantula. So 4 souls has been taken away by Daigo, and how does he take it away from them? We do not know, but we do actually get to see by the end of episode 21, the Ohsama Sentai actually challenged Daigo at the duel itself. Like they're trying to take Daigo down. I believe they're gonna lose, and Daigo is gonna snatch away all these 4 false souls of the sugar itself. And the reason why he's stealing away these 4 soul of the sugar is because he wants to prevent them from using extreme King-Ohger itself. King-Ohger itself is not strong enough to actually stop him when he go big size, I would assume, and he's not able, they are not strong enough to kind of like stop all the Bugnarak attack itself. And that is how the big giant castle is gonna come into play. The castle carcass is gonna become a ZORD in the next episode, and that has been teased to us in this episode preview as well. Okay, so let me move on to the next scene. Next we get to see like the rest of the rangers posing off. They look very serious. Not gonna lie, I think like they actually improve on their CG. I wouldn't say CG, but maybe that they improve on their green screen effort in this scene itself. We don't actually get to see a lot of green screen aging, something like that. So this is really good. I love it when they put effort into it. Okay, so and they are not only actually using CG all the time, but this scene, like this Zord, is actually standing in I would assume to be a miniature set itself, because it looks really good. You don't actually see kind of the edges looks like they are not they're light differently, something like that, and but it actually looks really real, very like blend. What I'm trying to say is they don't seem to be at a different set and location, something like that. Okay, so really amazing stuff. Next we get to see Daigo like kind of like trying to hit them, something like that. So based on the previous scene, before we get to see Daigo like smashing something down, we would actually assume that Daigo is gonna be way more bigger than the King-Ohger itself. So the reason why they would need the castle to fight against Daigo is because when Daigo goes big, he really goes big. Okay, so that is kind of like my assumptions, my theory, something like that. But let me move on to the next thing. Next thing we get to see is the castle, which is gonna be a Zord. We already know that. Like if you have been paying attention to the leaks, to the magazine, something like that, you will already know that this castle is gonna be a really sexy megazord itself. Okay, but next we get to see Suzume back in action, and Suzume is actually the one that told them, hey, this castle is actually a giant robot. So now that Rakles is no longer in the castle itself, I would assume that Suzume is still in the Sugar Lamb castle itself, because like it's always better to have someone in by the side of your enemy. So maybe Suzume just continue her job as a spy in Sugar Dam and helping them, something like that. So that is really interesting. But we actually get to see the rest of the king looks really surprised. Like even Jeremy face is like, the fuck are you talking about, something like that. Because one thing we need to remember is Jeremy is 2,000 years old. Okay, so there's a lot of things that he would have to know. Okay, like he cannot not know a lot of different things. So this is one of the things that I think he must know. Okay, like he must know all this, because obviously he is 2,000 years old, something like that. But let me move on to the next thing. Next we get to see the newly crowned King Gira mobilize the castle, something like that is the part of the word. And then we get to see a close-up of this King-Ohger, something like that. So I think this is how the King-Ohger actually assemble all the sugar that is needed to assemble the King-Ohger. But why are we seeing this? Maybe there's a secret that we were supposed to see here, but I do not know what am I looking at. Maybe we're gonna see how things are gonna go in the next episode. Okay, so really amazing thing. Next we get to see Jeremy talking to the citizen of Shugod, and also Gira doesn't seem very happy. He's looking on the floor, and then we get to see a familiar face. Annoying head guy is back. Okay, annoying head guy is back. What is he gonna do? We are not sure, but maybe he's there to condemn Gira on his action for failing to save them, something like that. We are not sure. Okay, but let me move on. Next we get to see this is really interesting, like the color here, the color of Yanma's shirt. I think this is an effect, this is a mistake, I would assume, because his outer layer, okay, like his outer layer, if you look at his shirt here, it's supposed to be blue, not purple color. And if you actually go through it scene by scene, you will actually see that the reason why it actually switched in why is it in purple in color, this is like color editing thing, like color grading. When they grade the clothing, something like that, the something went wrong, something like that, and that is why you actually see that the jacket itself looks like it is purple in color when it was supposed to be blue in color, something like that. Okay, so that is quite interesting though for me to spot. So very interesting stuff. Okay, but let me move on. Next we get to see this really goofy scene, and this setup is not something new in Ohsama Sentai. We saw this in The Secret of King Rakles, something like that. So we get to see something similar once again. So I don't know, man, like this is very anime-is, a very anime style of storytelling. And this kind of like reminded me a lot of kind of like a music video as well, like when someone is shouting, someone is like singing the lyrics, and then another person is actually like being emotional at the back, something like that. So yeah, this reminds me of music video. But let me move on to the next thing. Next we get to see Gira, and then nothing much, he's just standing there. And then we get to see the rest of the rangers posing ready. And then this is really interesting because Gira is using the Ohsama caliber lens to summon the castle, and I think that we're gonna see it in action in the next episode. But we don't actually get to see it now, but next week we're gonna see it. Next we get to see this drill looking monster. It looks really good, not gonna lie. I really love the design of this Bugnarak. It reminded me of, I think, the Kamen Rider fights, one of the off-notch, I think it is the King-Ohger design, if not mistaken. It reminded me of that, but the helmet itself looks very similar to Kamen Rider build design. So yeah, really amazing thing. But let me move on. Next, more action scene, and then we get to see the Prime Minister is back, Kamejin. That is what a lot of people tell me. Kamejin is the name of the Prime Minister. So, and then we get to see Daigo once again, and then we get to see the ZORD once again, and the ZORD, the Shugod is shaking, man. Like the Shugod is afraid, and then we get to see, I think this is a scene of the rest of the ranger looking at the castle with the rest of the Shugod are actually resting on the castle itself. Maybe they are like, is this like the end of the episode, or is this kind of like just before the fight with Daigo, you know, like right after they fight Daigo for the first time, the Shugod are afraid, so they went to seek help from this giant castle Shugod itself, something like that. Maybe, okay, we are not sure, but like we actually get to see Kabutan go back to his original pose, like the first episode. Like this is when he was being like fossilized, and then he went back to normal after Gira uses the sword, something like that. So maybe something is wrong, we are not sure, but that is the end of the trailer. A lot of things we can't predict what is gonna happen, because like we're entering into a new chapter in the story. But one thing I know for sure is that the story is still gonna be very, very meme, very, very funny. So if you are a big fan of very funny story and all those stuff, you are having the time of your life, man. Like, but that is all from me. Hope you enjoy. If you like what you see, you know what to do. Subscribe, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Goodbye.